Hey guys, how's it going today? Gonna do a little something different and show you guys a little startup for how I work with FL Studio to make the stuff that I make. Okay, so here is FL Studio 10. I'm currently working on a mod, that's why it's got my logo over here, and a lot of the buttons look different when you type in patterns, because I am currently photoshopping up my own skin for different tool sets, even piano roll, the keys. Yeah. Okay. And if you're asking, if you want to know how to use this, you have to go into the settings, general, system, general, and enable legacy pattern blocks. That one right there. Okay. See, once you enable it, it tells you blocks have become obsolete and will not appear in future versions of FL Studio. Which kind of sucks, kind of makes me angry, but you gotta deal with it, okay? To view the patterns otherwise, you can find them here in your current project folder, which is here. This is basically FL Studio's Explorer, where you can look up all your files anywhere. Like, if there's a specific folder you want to look at in here that you like to save sound files in, that's not within the FL Studio directory. You take that folder, and you drag it in, and then it's there. That's simple. It's pretty easy. That's the first step. You can customize your Explorer over here. Okay, chart these big, gigantic blocks that have transparent insides and can be adjusted. And here, you type these cute little rectangles and stuff. You know, if you wanted to, maybe you could draw a little smiley face or something. Yeah, to appease your boredom. Yeah, man, this is how we make music. Totally. Now let's just erase that. What the fuck am I doing? This is the mixer. It opens up with this button, mixer. This is the playlist. This is the step sequencer. Okay? Get to know these. You're going to use them. Yes, it's here or in the current project directory, patterns. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to show you here. Okay? You have a pattern, you plot a pattern. You know, this is the preset you're given with. I never use this. I hate this preset, but for the sake of simplicity, I'll show you what it sounds like. Here we have a basic pattern, okay? You can plot that pattern here, or you can select it from the patterns selection tool and plot it here. What's cool about plotting it here is you can see the beat right here without having to look back at the step sequencer. Okay? You see it here on the playlist. What's also cool about this, using the top, is you can do this. You can choose to make this pattern unique. It makes a new pattern. And then we can drag that in as a fourth pattern anywhere here we want. What I don't like is that it can get very confusing what you're doing, because you can plot them literally anywhere. So I like to keep them on the bottom of the screen. So let's delete this pattern and color this. Color selected, so that we know what the hell it is. Bam. Alright. So, how do I get cool sounding drum beats? Okay? This is where the mixer comes in. Alright? You're going to take this particular pattern and you're going to select all four of these. Hold down Control. Select all four of these. Go to the first pattern in the mixer, empty pattern. link select the channels to this track. Alright? What does that do? When we play the pattern, it plays all 4 of these instruments in this. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to make one track for the clap hat and snare, and another track for only the kick. Bam. Alright? The reason why I'm going to do this is because in my music, I like to have a very heavy bass. For the simplicity, I'm going to work with the preset I'm given. Okay? To get the heavy bass, my personal favorite choice is parametric EQ2. It's really easy to see. Alright? You want heavy bass? Lift up the bass. Now, how do we view this pattern so that we can only hear the bass so that we can test that out specifically? Alright? You can turn any instrument on and off with these buttons. Bam. Done. Alright? Go back to pattern mode, play the pattern, and start tweaking. I like to raise the treble on the bass because it actually gives the bass a clicking sound if you do it properly. It's a bit hard, it takes a little bit of tweaking. Another good way to raise the bass, raise the resonance of the bass, is either with bass boost. Blood overdrive raises the volume. Fruity balance allows you to raise the volume as well. Usually, that's all I try to do, EQ it. We can add some delay effects, or even reverb. I'm going to save the reverb for the rest of the drum beat. So, as we can see, these instruments play in channel 1 of the mixer. Alright, so take the mixer, channel 1, and add yourself some fruity reverb. I prefer fruity reverb over fruity reverb 2 because there's really no difference. Fruity reverb 2 just looks pretty. It's like, it's automatic. You do it, whatever. But the knobs are really small and confusing. So I prefer fruity reverb, the classic one, because everything's right there and easy to see. Okay? I usually like to have a moderate reverb, raised decay, and about 80 diffusion. Now, by reverbing the drum beat, perhaps I should lower the room size on this, make the color warm, and add some pre-delay. As you can hear, by doing this, I've definitely lowered the kick of the snare. It does not sound anywhere near as resonant. So at this point I say, fuck it, let's make a new channel just for the snare. Bam. Alright? And then how do we raise this snare? Well, let's do the same thing we did for the kick, but just for the snare. Alright. Here, let's try something a little different. So we're going to take a... let's go love filter. Let's have fun with this. Perhaps a lot of my favorite presets are maybe Mangled and possibly Pulsar. EF Low Pass has a really nice effect as well. We can reduce that whistle and make it sound a little bit more retro by going to Fruity Fastest, which is exactly what it does, a fast distortion. That sounds pretty sick, but I would like to see if I can tweak this to get rid of that whistle. That sounds pretty cool, but it's not quite loud enough. As you can see, the snare only peaks over here. We want it to go up to the red. And if instruments are too loud, we can deal with that later, because when we have instruments in specific channels, we can edit the volume of these channels manually using this knob. As you can see, it also changes the knob over here. So that's two ways to do the same thing. Or you can go to the instrument manually and change the volume over here. Or you can send it to piano roll and change the individual volume of every single note. There are a bunch of different ways to do the same exact thing. Okay? Great, now that's in piano roll. Piano roll is where we chart melodies. Okay, I'm just letting you know that right now. We'll get to that in a moment. First, let's pick up this. Let's see how everything sounds together. That actually sounds pretty poppin', but there's still more we can do with this snare, because I really want this to just pop out and blow your fucking mind out the window or some shit. Okay, so let's open up some classic parametric EQ2 and raise the mid-range on this bitch. That whistle is coming from the treble end, so we can lower that. That sounds a lot better. We can do some low mid. Let's see if we can get this. Let's make some little mountains here. Try to really pump that up. See the difference? It's too much bass on that, though. I don't want so much bass. Let's lower the bass a bit and raise. Drop the bass. That sounds pretty cool. It's got that cloudy effect to it, and I didn't even need to add a reverb. Probably raise this a little bit. It's not my favorite snare, but I think it'll do. Man. So far, this is pretty poppin'. This sounds pretty cool. So let's chart this in, and we have a beat for our song. Pretty sick, huh? Alright, so what if we want to start warping this shit and making it sound pretty nuts? FL Studio 9 and 10 added a program in that's very useful, especially for all you dubstep freaks out there. Okay, and it has to do with warping the drums and warping things just in general to make them sound as if you're scratching at a record, which is actually literally what you're doing with this application, with this VST plugin, I mean. Alright, it's called Gross Beat. You can find it here in the channel presets. Now, I'm going to do Gross Beat for the snare, because gross beats sound really nice with the snare, okay? So, watch closely. That's what it sounds like at the moment. We're going to keep this on pattern mode so we can look at this more closely, okay? And let's put all four on and listen to the entire beat. This would make a pretty nice house beat, just saying, okay? My suggestion for finding some really poppin' beats is, let's see if I can remember what it's called. Yes, right here. drumsamples.org. Alright. Bam. Right here, this little zip icon. Completely free, completely legal. Alright? Just download it. And then put it in your directory so that you can browse through it. I have it right here on my desktop. Right there. Right there. Okay? And it's got a bunch of distorted instruments, too. So, if you're not sure quite how to distort instruments and you need a good startup, That sounds pretty sick if you want to do some jump style. Yeah, jump style beats. You know, you've already got some really nice setup, okay? Okay. Continuing with this, we're going to add gross beat to this equation. Bam. Gross beat. Now, what does this thing do? Okay. The green is affecting time. The red is affecting velocity. Okay? So, choose one of the presets and fuck around. You can move them anywhere you want and see what they do. So let's play the pattern without anything. Let's select a random preset and see how it sounds different. That sounds pretty sick. Don't you think? I think so. Let's try something else. That sounds like a beat that I would use after dropping a bass. I think I'm going to go with this one. But it could use a little bit more distortion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to free filter. Bam, right there. And set this to high pass. Raise the frequency up. Raise the Q. I don't know what the fuck Q stands for. So that could be a little bit louder. We can edit the volume of that with this. What we're going to do is we're going to make it a transition. So, how does I do? Okay, so we're going to start our song off with gross beat and the free filter completely off by having the volume all the way down. Okay, here is where this top half of my playlist editor will come truly in handy. Okay, right here at gross beat, we're going to click that little volume. We're going to right-click this and click Create Automation Clip. An automation clip will automatically be created from the beginning to the very end of your song. If your song is, you know, this long, then it's going to go to the very end of it. And these songs will get very long. It may get a little tedious. There might be an easier way to do this, but it works for me. And we're going to make this a gradual raise. We're going to take Fruity Free Filter and then make that an automation clip, make that a gradual raise, but make it more curved so that it starts off and then all of a sudden, wham, the effect is kicked in. And then we're going to take the volume of the snare. Okay, before I do this, I need to describe you what the problem is exactly. Okay, so we're still in pattern mode. This is the problem. That snare sounds really good. It sounds just fine. Okay. But when we add the gross beat and the free filter, the volume gets distorted and doesn't sound as loud. So we're going to do this right here and make the volume an automation clip. Anytime there is a bar or a knob anywhere on the FL Studio's interface, even here, you can make them automation clips, have them placed here, and tweak them as effects for music. I suggest you learn how to make some good melodies first and have apt ability to understand, read, and play music in some way, shape, or form before you start going crazy on effects and stuff. because you're going to become really tedious and really repetitive, and you're not going to know how to make music. Okay, so this is like professional mastering stuff. This is what you do when you want to master up your beats and make them really hot and keep them changing and stuff. Maybe you can do this stuff, go over after the song's completely done. Okay, so here we go. So, make a new filter group. I'm going to make a new filter group, and I'm going to name it Instruments, INS for short. That's what I typically do. Okay, I'm going to change this back to a 4-pattern beat. Oh, my bad. Let me go to pattern 2 and color this red. Actually, no, purple. When I have melodic patterns, I usually tend to color them purple. When I have drum patterns, I usually tend to color them green or yellow. What I did with... How do we find some motherfucking good synth? Alright? I'll give you some quick pointers. I'm only going to work with one instrument right now for the hell of it. You guys can practice your own motherfuckers. Oh my god. Okay. So, I'm going to go to my instruments pattern. But before I do that... Okay. My favorite places to look for random instruments are 3x OSC in channel presets. You can find some really cool sounding stuff. Here you find some really nice basses called Pure Bass. Pure Bass 7 is one of my favorites because by itself it's a very low bass, and on a good headset really vibrates the eardrums. That's a really heavy bass. But the thing is, it's not quite distorted, and most of the basses you find are not going to be all that distorted unless you find distorted bass presets online. So what I do is I do a little parametric EQ, and then I do a little gross beat. No, actually, no. I do a little parametric EQ. Raise that bass. It's already fucking low enough. But to get that wobble, can't really hear a difference just yet. Oh, my bad. Did I just put it? Oh yeah, I didn't link it. Bam, linked. It already sounds better. Let's do some hardcore. This is basically a fake amp that does distortion and stuff. It can make almost any instrument sound a little bit more like a guitar, or just basically distorted synth. Big difference. Add a chorus in there. Big intensity, low width, high speed. Holy fuck. Lower that glass effect and that comb. Okay. So let's make a little pattern. Let's go into piano roll. And here, you can set your keys as either traditional, actually seeing what the note name is, or piano. I kind of like the piano because I like pianos and because I drew it myself in Photoshop, so I feel really proud of myself. So I do it. Even though this is a bass, since we're doing something more electronic and we want to get that wobble effect, let's go into like the 6th or 7th octave. And see how this sounds. Perhaps this isn't the right bass for that kind of effect. So, we can try a different instrument. Let's try wobble bass. W. Weird bass. What I like about weird bass is that without any effect, It wobbles. And in dubstep and techno, we like basses that can wobble when they're played. It's not very fast, but it is a good effect. Because when we add these, then we get this effect. Right now, with the hardcore added on, maybe we should take off that cone. Or even reduce the distortion. That sounds pretty cool. It's really hard. It takes a lot of tweaking and experimenting to find just the right sound you want. There's really just no way for me to advise a specific instrument set because everyone has different tastes. And I don't want this to drag on for forever, so I've really got to just find something and stick with it. I kind of like the way that sounds. I can do that. Let's take parametric EQ and let's raise the treble on it actually. Get it to sound a bit more high-end. Right? We could probably chart in a nice wobble right through here. In octave 7, pretty high. I like the way this pattern sounds. Let's try to lower this an octave. Maybe it'll sound even more pumpy. Let's raise the velocity of these. Alright, that sounds pretty awesome. Remember when I said that literally anything can be an automation clip? Well, even inside presets of here, these knobs can also become automation clips. So I want this to become an automation clip so that I can mess with it manually, because this shit sounds really hot. Really hot. It sounds really good. It sounds really good, guys. You should really... It's so cool. It's nice. Yeah. What we got?